Welcome back to Gaming Views, the podcast that is legally required to say, please stop emailing us your passwords.
Yeah, we can't help you recover your account. And now we also know your dog's name, your birthday, and you really love pizza.
Which brings us on to today's topic, hacks and data breaches, or as gamers call it, why am I level 1 again?
Nothing humbles you faster than logging in and realising your character has been renamed delete_me.
That's emotional damage right there. And people imagine hackers as these mysterious keyboard ninjas.
Yeah, hoodies, raucous music playing in the background, green text, dramatic zoom-ins.
And in reality, it's often just someone who noticed a dev. They forgot to lock a door.
Yeah, or someone who guessed the admin password was admin.
But breaches don't just mess with players. They wreck dev teams too. Emergency patches, server rollbacks.
Group chats titled, "Who the fuck pushed this to live?"
Gamers, meanwhile, are like, relax, it's just a game.
Says the person who lost a 400-hour save file and now stares into the middle distance.
But we've all been there, so today we're talking about how hacks actually happen.
The havoc they caused and the legacy they left.
And how to protect your account with radical strategies like updates and not clicking suspicious links.
The website promises unlimited premium currency is probably lying.
Unless it's a credit card bill.
Yeah, too real, Dan.
So buckle up, secure your accounts,
and pull one out for every player who learns cybersecurity the hard way.
Dan and Dan with a gaming flair, pixel dreams and worlds to share, joystick tales and button cues. Welcome to Gaming Views.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Gaming Views. Yes, buckle up. It's going to be a good one this week, as they always are, right, Dan?
Yeah, sure. I've got faith in our abilities. I've got faith in your ability. It's going to be a great one. You're hosting.
Well, let's see in about 80 minutes' time. But how you been doing?
Is it that long?
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. Again, we'll see. It depends how much you're going to cut out of it. I mean, what people don't know is we normally talk for about 5 hours. So
depends how many things I say that are legally binding or restricting. I'm good. I've had fun games with uploads on YouTube. You know, that's causing me aggravation. But other than that, it's, you know, work's work. You know, this is my happy place. I'm back here. I'm all right.
I was going to say, you've been a very naughty boy when it comes to YouTube, but that sounds dodgy then, doesn't it?
I don't think I have. I think it's, people unnecessarily claiming copywriting when it's not true. Yeah. I'm going to write to Sony and tell them. I'm going to tell my dad.
We're going to write to lots of people. Yeah, so as you got from that little intro or pre-credit intro, we're going to talk about sort of hacks and breaches and cybersecurity. And look, just on a side point, I mean, you and I are both in the industry we work in, kind of like IT and service. It is weird, isn't it? Because definitely the last, I'd say, 18 months been a massive increase in kind of seeing
huge
cyber attacks and
huge. And it's actually had a positive impact, particularly on our kind of industry, as you say, because the more prevalent it's become, the more people realise how much of a risk it is, the more they're willing to engage with it and do something about it. So even this year, you know, with my company, we're pumping a bunch of money into part of the bit where we probably do have some risk exposure. So, you know, trying to beef up the bits where we know we aren't maybe as secure, and we are definitely secure. Otherwise I wouldn't have a job. But yeah, it makes those conversations so much easier, at that level. So yeah, I'm only pleased about that thing, but yeah, it's not to say there hasn't been some pretty nasty stuff done in the past, as we'll probably discover today.
Yeah, and before we get into that, so yeah, this episode is going to feature on some of the big hacks and breaches, and none of it is to sort of either glorify it or to look down the nose at the companies that it affected. But it was interesting because we've had recently, the Rainbow Six Siege one, and it reminded me of a couple of others, and it's basically what you said. I was going to iterate that. Every time something like this happens, it does make people take stock. And as long as we're learning from it, right? Yeah, because I worked at a company that just before I joined them had almost sort of been brought to their knees because of a virus, because they hadn't got anything. And then the money gets invested. And it's weird. On a side tangent, it's like I used to watch like the air crash investigations. Is it on, on satellite TV? And as someone who years ago didn't particularly like flying, like somebody said to me, why are you watching that? And I'm like, because every one of these means something has got better now. And that's why that's, you know, and yeah, I think all these things add up to make our hobby, which we've said we love, hopefully a bit more safer for us, right?
Yeah, no, you know, I think we'll cover it in more detail as we go through. But the thing to remember about this is we're always behind the curve, because you don't know what you don't know when you're looking at security, hacks, you know, risk. And until that thing happens, there's clearly a gap. So, you know, nobody's going to try and bridge that gap until you discover that gap, if that makes sense. So it's not a happy place to be, but it does keep a lot of people gainfully employed on both sides of the fence, I suspect.
Yeah, but we are getting ahead of ourselves. Yeah. So, as always, Dan, what you've been playing?
Well, we are now week 3 in January of 2026. I'm dating the episode now. And I've been playing 2 games, but thankfully one of them isn't Dave the Diver this week. I did have a little go, but it's not. You
just decided not to mention it, right?
That's just not mentioning it, because I have played a bit of Dave the Diver.
He's been playing quite a bit, though.
Well, I did send you several images of it. Because it just turned into another bunch of games, and I was just gobsmacked by which direction it keeps going. And one of them was a Streets of Rage emulator. So it's just been a mad game still, but I love it. I'm not going to talk about it. I've done enough of it. So I've continued with Ghost of Yotei. Just a beautiful game, just so well put together. As I said before, it's just stunning. And I just, you know, I've generally got to the point now where I'm wondering if, had I played this last year, would it have been my game of the year? It's hooked me that much, and I'm just desperate to get back to playing and exploring that world, and just this way the story's woven, and the character herself, and how she's dealing with revenge. And there's just some lovely little side quests where you're like, one of them is you're hunting down this bear that's gone mad, and it's a story of how revenge can sicken your soul, and it weaves into her story in such a beautiful narrative. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and can't wait to keep going through. I'm probably about 2/3 maybe through it at the moment, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and also to finishing it so I can play something else. the other game I have started, and we started together actually, is Disco Elysium. And I mentioned before in this podcast I played it, and I realised when I said I'd played it for about 5 minutes. So I'd woken up very hungover, not the character, not me, and played it for about 5 minutes of that whole thing, and went, yeah, I'm not in the mood for this, and kind of moved on. So when you said you were going to play it, I was like, oh, I'll pick it up and play it with you. So I actually bought it on Steam. I can't remember I played it before, but I bought it on Steam, and I'm really, really, really enjoying it. And I know you haven't engaged as much, and I'm sure we'll get onto that, but I'm fascinated by the world that they've created. The character interactions, the voices are just brilliant. It's very, very adult not in a graphic way, but in just the way the characters talk and interact with each other is very grown up. It's very, you know, you just kind of go through in the world they've created it's not a real world. It's a fictional kind of futuristic advanced, but also a 1980s Eastern European kind of vibe. It's a fascinating, weird world. And that team have done some wonderful things with it. So I'm really enjoying it. And it's a fascinating story as well. You're basically an amnesiac detective who's trying to not only solve several cases, but also trying to work out who he is, where he's from, what he's doing, all caused by you would think at the moment, by a hangover. So yeah, it's another one of those games that I've picked up now when, you know, this is 2 years ago, whatever, people were raving about it and saying, you've got to play this game. And I kind of went, yeah, it's not my sort of thing. And I've gone back to it now and I think that's, there's a lot I owe to this podcast for that, of kind of trying new things, trying different things. And this is one of them that's, again, like with David Diver, like with, Dredge, like, you know, several other games that have just paid off, and I'm just finding joy in them. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And so another one I'm going to see through to the end. But yeah, probably be about May time, I imagine, before I come up with a new game for this podcast. How about you? What you been doing? What you been up to?
I will start with Disco Elysium, because like you said, yeah, we started at the same time. And yeah, you're right, it's not grabbed me. So I really like the game. We were talking today, weren't we, at lunch? It is a great game, and as you said, the story is great. The theme of it, you know, being quite adult is refreshing to play in that sense. I think at the moment what it is with me is I just wanted a game that's a bit more immediate. I wasn't expecting it to be as dialogue heavy as it is. And again,
yes, very.
Yeah. So the irony is with me, I love those sort of games. You know, I love the dialogue rich, the exposition rich. But it's just right now, I felt like I needed to go into something that was a bit meatier, which is something I'll be playing next week, which we'll talk about next week.
But it's probably worth saying for the listeners or viewers that the reason it's so exposition heavy isn't necessarily because it's your character, your partner, your police detective partner, and the person you're interacting with, but you've also got your inner voices talking to you, and they're all voiced as well. So you've got this constant weave of narrative of different voices telling you different things, and are they being honest? It's just really cleverly done, but that's why it's so dialogue heavy, because you've got your own inner voice jumping in and going, "No, you shouldn't do that," or maybe you should. It's a real, it's great.
And my necktie is arguing with me as well in that game.
Yes.
So,
Dan's having an argument with a piece of clothing.
Yeah, my necktie keeps telling me off. And also, I literally died because you said you didn't realise you could die. I died within about 5 minutes because I turned the light on in a room and it gave because the game starts off with your character waking up from an extreme hangover. And even
Very extreme.
The inner voice said, "Don't turn it on." I went to it, goes, "Don't turn it on." I turned it on, and the character got a heart attack from how bright the light was and died, and I had to start again.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but like I said, and that's the thing. I don't. It's not that I dislike the game, because some of the writing is incredible, both in terms of humour, but how it also flicks to quite dark subjects straight after that, like the theme of it
very
is
quickly,
like the murder. We won't go into it, but the murder investigating is quite serious. Well, as murders are.
And I made a conscious decision when I picked out to start as I picked a pre-built character type, but I wanted to play through as that type, and he's not physically intimidating. He's a very kind of weedy, hasn't got much physical attributes and things, but he's super intelligent. But he's also really bad with people. So I've tried to play that part as I'm going through it and select the choices that I think that type of character would play. Do you know what I mean? Someone who doesn't enjoy, is, very low social battery, doesn't enjoy hanging around people, doesn't suffer fools gladly. So those are the sort of responses I'm giving. Although you seem to have gone a completely different way and keep answering things that get you killed. So, there's...
Whatever the voice says, I do the opposite, and it turns out, listen to it. But no, like I said, it's a great game, and I will come back to it. It's just not as I wasn't expecting it to be kind of as I said, dialogue, and also so don't go into it. You'll see it's an RPG. Don't go into it expecting like Mass Effect or The Witcher. Do you know what it is? It kind of gives me a vibe of, I've watched people play, I mean, we played it briefly, but Baldur's Gate, because in Baldur's Gate, you've got that constant narration, that constant describe what's happening, almost alongside not like a graphic novel or a visual novel, but what are they called? Like novel books, games,
Those novel books.
Novel, I don't know. People know through my rambling, but it kind of crosses between those two games, and neither of those are bad. I like both genres. Yeah, it didn't grab me, so I've moved on to something a little bit more.
That's fair play, mate. I mean, you've got to do what gives you fun, right? So what did give you fun?
Well, I'll mention that one next week, because I've only played it for a couple of hours. Oh, you mean what else I've played this week?
Yeah, I mean what else, but okay.
That'd be handy, right? Yeah. Well, this didn't give me fun. This annoyed me to the point I almost uninstalled it. But WWE 2K25 still played a bit of that.
Right answer. Just uninstall it. In fact, burn it. You might not find it again then.
The only reason I'm playing the showcase mode still, and I can't remember if previous iterations have got it, but they've got timed objectives. So I think I said to you before, they take a match from the past, you play it, and you've got to replicate
Paul Heyman
things.
tells you what to do type thing. That was what you said, yeah.
Yeah, and there's timed objectives, and some of them are just annoying the hell out of me. So I kind of, but I've been playing that. I've been pushing that.
Is that like when you say timed objectives, means like grab the ladder and hit this guy in this way in a certain amount of time? That kind of
within
thing?
A minute, do these moves couple of times.
It marries up to what the original.
Not even that. I think they just want to wind me up.
Annoy you. Just to annoy you.
Because a couple of them, the funny thing is, a couple of them, they want you to change your results. So I've noticed that in the last couple of iterations, they've made you change the outcome of a match. So it's not quite what it was.
Wrestling games. It was one genre I've never got on with is wrestling games, but it's not,
soft spot,
each their own.
Soft spot for that. I can't remember if I mentioned it last week, but yeah, Exploris or Exploris Vermis story.
As the editor of the show, I can firmly tell you did not mention that, which is easy for you to say, at all.
Yeah, I'm playing that.
Exploraris.
Playing that for a gaming reviews. It's a Metroidvania style game. It's I won't say much because I want to keep the content for the gaming review. But yeah,
thumbs up or thumbs down?
I think overall thumbs up.
Are you not like
at the angle, so it's not quite like that.
Okay,
it's like that at the moment. And for those,
I know that thumb well done.
For those listening and not watching, it's more positive than negative.
Dan's got a jaunty thumb. That's what he's got. He's not sure, but it's more positive.
Yeah, and the final game, I completed Detroit Become Human, which it was a good game. It was a good game. The story was quite interesting. There was a couple of twists at the end I wasn't expecting. I did want to play through it again. I think I said to you, I remember messaging you saying, I won't start Disco Elysium yet because I want to replay it. And then I realised I would have to play.
You didn't really want to.
Well, no, what it is I would have to play through and basically do all the horrible options because I play through doing the better options. And some of the better options aren't particularly nice. So I thought, do you know what? And there are some not nice people in that game. So I'm thinking, I don't want to do anything that is going to be.
You wanted some happy, joy, not sad, kill.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to either humour the bad people or do some bad choices. So, I'm always a Paragon Shepherd in Mass Effect. There it is. So,
One episode did one. Not this one, but just one.
So I decided not to replay through that. But I watched, because you could watch. They've got an extras catalogue. No, but well done on that. You've got, for people wondering, go back, watch last week's episode if Dan's got around all the dodgy YouTube shenanigans to see David Bowie in the first Quantic Dream game. They do quite a big extras catalogue in that game, so videos, etc., that you can buy with credits you earn. And, one of the videos I'd completely forgot was that the game was based on like a tech demo they did for the PS3. Do you remember the Kara?
No.
It was just like they were building.
I remember PlayStation 3, but I don't remember anything else.
It would be more funny if you just said, I remember the demo, but I don't remember the PlayStation 3.
I think we'd have no subscribers or listeners if I do that.
Didn't it go PlayStation 2, PlayStation 4? What's the PlayStation 3?
They can count about as well as Microsoft, I think.
Yeah, so
361 X.
Yeah, so Detroit Become Human. Yeah, so that is done. I don't have to play that again now. So
yes, yeah, burn that one as well. Then stick it in with the wrestling one. Put it in the microwave.
So that is what we've been playing. I think before we get on to the news, we'll play a trailer. We are going to, and you'll probably notice because I went through my games in reverse order. It's a clever little thing I've done because the person whose ad we're going to play is doing a Quantic Dream month in February. He's hoping it goes out in February. So you're going to hear from a friend of ours, Satsu, at the Chatsunami podcast. Wonderful guy, a brilliant podcaster. As I said, keep an eye out for his theme months, especially if you're into Quantic Dream and crazy David Cage shenanigans. Yeah,
there must be a fan out there, Dan. I'm sure there's one person who will tune in.
Yeah. So sit back and listen to Satsu now.
Welcome to Chatsunami, a Scottish variety podcast that discusses topics from gaming and films to anime and general interest. Join me, your host, Satsunami, as well as the rest of our Chatsunami team for our takes on these very important pop culture topics.
Sir, it's clearly a trap. I accept your bait. That happens 3 times in the film. Like every time that general goes, don't do this one thing, he goes, do you know what I'm going to do? This exact it
does as well. She had the pointy teeth. What was that about?
She looked like Bilbo when he wants the ring back.
She did, didn't she? I just want the lightsaber one more time.
Parasite says, no, you will get back into your office and work.
No, says the man in Zoom.
Yeah.
Trousers are for the working man.
You're bursting into your hotel room. Honey, we need to go.
Leave the kids. You can milk an Outage.
Oh! That's the worst thing you've ever said in any of the episodes.
If that sounds like your cup of tea, then you can check us out at our website, chatsunami.com, as well as all good podcast apps. As always, stay safe, stay awesome, and most importantly, stay hydrated.
Stay classy and have a banana. This has been Tsunami.
I'm sorry.
Welcome back, and I got scolded during the ad break for forgetting to do the housekeeping.
Oh, dear.
So, Dan, as you do it so much better than me, can you please do the housekeeping?
Oh, okay. It's that way, is it? Okay. Please do. Look, if you're enjoying this, I said nonsense last time. It's not nonsense. It's clearly completely catered for the audience and professionally put together. Please do like and subscribe if you enjoy what you're seeing. As I say, we have to earn this stuff, but we love doing this. So please, it means the world to us. Doesn't mean a lot to you. Just click of a button. So please, if you do, please do like and subscribe across all channels, not just YouTube, but Spotify, Shopify, Bottom 5, whatever it's called, all the things.
Are we on the
Do
Argos website? I don't
Yeah, Argos. They got a catalogue still? I don't know.
Yeah. But yes, and yeah, if you are listening on an audio one, I would like to tempt you to go check us out on YouTube, because again, the fantastic work Dan does with the videos. You might like us on seeing our beautiful mugs on YouTube.
If they let me continue.
yeah, we've got an account next week.
Copyright strike.
Yeah, so like and subscribe, all the good things Dan said. So, Dan, let's go on to news. I've got a few, and I've got a couple extra I've added that I haven't told you about.
Newsflash.
Yeah, newsflash indeed. So let me start. We're going to bring back Expedition 33, so Claire Obscure. Now, the funny thing about this story I was going to bring, there's been an addendum to it that I've seen in the last couple of days. So I don't know if you've seen it, but ultimately the story was, so not only is Claire Obscure sort of one of the most, if not the most awarded game of all time, but it's fast becoming the best user-reviewed game on Metacritic. Okay. So at the moment, it's definitely gone on to become one of the best reviewed games of 2025. So the 10 best games of all time, according to Metacritic users, was Claire Obscure, Expedition 33. I'm going to skip number 2 for a reason. Number 3, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. 5, you've got Silent Hill 2, 6, Metal Gear Solid. The Witcher 3 is in there, Last of Us. So you've got big games in there, sort of user reviews. Now, I can't remember if we've said in an episode recently, take user reviews with a bit of, pinch of salt, because we know they get review bombed, etc. But, it is number 1. But the reason why I said there's an addendum, and the reason I skipped number 2, is users, I think gamers are trying to get back at Expedition 33 becoming highly rated.
Okay.
By reviewing, it's I think it's a Game Boy Advance game, Disney's Cory in the House. So, we're talking about like a TV show, like it was a kids' TV show basically that they made a game.
I'm aware of it. I'm not sure if I ever watched anything Disney, but I'm aware of Cory's in the House. I just have to say at this point, and I apologise to all of our viewers, but sometimes, and it's not you guys, it's other people that ruin it for us, they can be absolute dicks. Just look, enjoy what you've got, man.
I've not played Disney Cory in the House, but Expedition 33 was sitting at the time recording on 9.6 and Cory in the House was 9.3. So
I might go and review Cory's in the House.
Maybe do that for a gaming review. Yeah.
I'm not going to play it, because not down there or either, Dan. What, you think they've all sat there bunched up with their emulators just playing Cory in their house? No.
I absolutely believe these users, they must be reviewing it in all honesty and transparency. 100%. Yeah. So
I thought you were going to say it was like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 or it was Baby Steps.
No, it's Cory in the House. If you've played Cory in the House, let us know. Let us know what your score is. It's just what a world we live in, isn't it? It's brilliant.
It would have been ultimately funnier if they'd have used their brain and reviewed the ET for the Atari 2600 and put that up there as the best reviewed game ever. You know, the one that infamously ended up in the sand dunes outside of Vegas. That would have been funny. Maybe it's just
brilliant. Was one of the reasons they say caused the gaming crash of the 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah, apparently so.
I was looking. I've got a real mix of stories this week. This one,
you can't bunch these ones up, Dan. There's nothing about AI in here.
Well, not yet.
Okay.
This one caught my eye. So this was on Polygon.com, and I've seen it elsewhere, but it was a headline that caught me. So it says Steam dev says his game got harder because young people can't write an email. Now, not here to generalize or make these sweeping statements, but I thought, well, let me have a look at this, right? So I think it's an old game called After Hours. So it's one of these, alternate reality games. You remember they were all the buzz back in 2000? Yeah. So it's a puzzle game. And so After Hours is a 2018 alternate reality game where players scour notes and letters hidden in a computer to solve the mystery of why scientists went missing 30 years ago.
Right.
It's a remake of another popular Newgrounds. Do you remember Newgrounds? A game called 128K.
Why would I remember Newgrounds? No.
Wasn't that the old website? That was one of the old sort of early internet day websites, I thought. Maybe
I'm too young for that, Dan.
Yeah. So like any good ARG, After Hours expects players to go beyond the confines of the actual game to uncover its enigma.
I love bees.
Yeah. Was that Halo, wasn't it? Yeah. Ultimately, basically what it's supposed to be is there's a character in the game, and if you were to send a real-life email to this email address in the game, you got a response back that gave you clues. Now, what the developer is saying here is that he was getting, they're getting emails. Here we go. Suddenly, emails started to come through that didn't have a message at all. Instead, players repeatedly kept typing the entire inquiry into the subject line. Players couldn't figure out how to use email, let alone solve the mystery at the root of the game. The system couldn't help them because it wasn't designed to read the subject line. And suddenly, After Hours reviews started to trend downwards. So again, here we go, user reviews. One review in 2024 said the game is too hard. So, yeah.
They needed AI, Dan. just need AI. Tell me the solution. Oh, that's how you fix life. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, the developers said that of around 2,000 emails that the system received in 2025 alone, I'd say about a third of them doesn't have a body and is subject only. This one, it says also many of the messages are written in mostly lowercase letters, and they're putting it to the fact that it's what, young people like us.
So the problem was people were essentially writing the entire question in the subject line. Yeah. But no body, which would make sense, for something not reading a subject line as the content.
Yeah. Now, it's
right. He is right.
It's quite a long article, but I think ultimately what they're saying is, in a day and age where I guess it's all text, we're almost going back to chat rooms, aren't we? In a sense of like Discord and things like that. That people aren't the concept of the email isn't understood, but I find that incredibly hard to get my head around.
Where was it from? Was it from Polygon? Oh yeah. So did the reporter sign off with "Okay, boomer"? Because fucking Polygon, man, some of their stuff. Love Polygon.
I mean, it's a quote. I think it's a quote. It says, "No form of modern communication requires a subject and a body, and it's easy to see how people who are not familiar with email aren't filling out both fields."
That is a very long-winded way of saying "Okay, boomer." That's basically what they're saying. I don't know what your problem is. We don't do that anymore these days. We use emoticons.
But this story though fascinated me because how habits are changing, and you're right. Even to the point now where like emojis were a thing, and people don't really want to use emojis. It feels like anymore, or
no, you can't use them. Yeah, you can't do the OK sign. You can't do any of that anymore. People take offence at them. Fucking millennials.
And so I just found it
I've seen on
fascinating.
demographic. I could say that because I don't watch this program, so it's fine.
Yeah. No, I just found it fascinating that a game can be not broken, but because the way times have moved on.
But the next natural step, who was it? Like, was it last week? Sony was saying, yeah, we're just going to invent and we're going to introduce an AI that will basically play the game for you if you can't do it. If it's is it too hard? I mean, all right, look, I can't do Dark Souls, but I fucking ain't getting an AI to play it for me. I'll tell you that now.
I just call up Joey. Joey will do it for us. That's an interesting one.
He is basically an AI, isn't he?
But that's an interesting thing you just said, and I'll move on. Not Joey being AI, the other bit. Because the game itself is only 6 years old, so it's not. It's 2018, so it's not massively old. But also,
your numbers ain't numbering today, are you?
But do you remember ARGs?
Damn, we're in 2026, and that was 2018.
8 years. What did I say?
Yeah, not 6 years. Yes,
did I say 6 years?
It's only 6 years.
It's a 6 to 8 year window.
Do you want me to edit? Edit.
Yeah, please edit the last 28 minutes.
No.
ARG games. I used to love those. They were
I couldn't get my head around them.
Thanks.
Because a lot of them involved a lot of them involved going like doing weird things like looking at the metadata of images to see if there was a specific URL or piecing together different. And I'm just like, I ain't got time for that. Can I go on a forum and see someone else who's done it? I would literally copy that guy's homework. Can I just, yeah.
I would just love to know how many people if they've mistyped the email address into how many random people or companies were getting emails asking like, where's the clue? What's the code? Where's the body?
At AOL.com.
yeah. But yeah, so yeah, that's it. Gaming is moving on quite quickly, it looks like, or not quick enough.
Not quick enough. Probably.
The last one before I hand over to you for a couple is, I saw this and I mean, technically some of it feels like it's already happening already, but we are going to talk to everyone's favourite businessman. Jeff Bezos recently has said that AI will force you to rent your PC from the crowd. It's gonna force you to rent your
crowdfunding. So you're going to get your RAM now.
To get your RAM, right? Well, he didn't say that. I said that. Jeff Bezos said he believes that AI will force you to rent your PC from the cloud, and the RAM crisis is accelerating it. So ultimately, your PC is going to be a subscription that you're going to hire the grunt in the cloud, as it were, to do your gaming and stuff. Now, if you look at the stories we've been talking about, sort of GPU, CPUs, RAM increasing, cloud computing is there for businesses already and cloud solutions. I don't know. In my head, it feels a bit of a stretch for the consumer, the home consumer, but everything else is going subscription and rental. I just wondered what your view on it was.
I read that, and instead of reading that, I read, we got what we always wanted, says Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Right? Because moving to that subscription model or that, renting model is everything that Amazon wants. They don't want you to, they love the fact you purchase goods off their site, but most of it's through, partner programs or whatever it is now. They barely sell anything that they produce other than their Echoes and stuff like that. So, and if, you look at something like Prime, they'll monetize anything they can. And that's what they want. They want a continual thing. Look, this is how capitalism works. That they want to continually churn. So you're continually paying money, so he will have everything. He's not rich enough, Dan. So he needs a bit more. He must be quite poor now, I'd imagine. What is he? Third richest person in the world behind Ellison and,
Gates.
Musk.
Okay.
So, maybe he's trying to catch up by just rent your PC from Amazon.
Look, and I'm sure he's not the only one excited, predicting this. He won't be the only person, but, so for everyone, so for people, you would have your shell of a system at home. You would just tap into a system in the cloud, right?
But do we think the infrastructure is there to allow us to do that? Internet speeds are great. We know this. But is everyone in a place where that is accessible? Because I suspect it's probably about 4% of the world or something mad.
It depends how AI goes. And I'm just going to look at my phone briefly because
AI is not going to improve your internet speed, Dan.
No. But I'm wondering about processing,
Dear
etc.
Gemini,
Not the internet.
Please
but
make it faster.
No, not the internet. But I'm wondering in terms of
It would just take you to stick some foil behind your router.
no. What I'm trying to say is if AI doesn't fall over like this quite so basically what I'm saying here, OpenAI is rapidly losing money and is projected to lose 14 billion in 2026 alone. If they can't get another round of funding, OpenAI could run out of money as soon as 2027.
Stop buying RAM.
What I'm trying to say about
Stop buying RAM.
No, what I'm trying to say about the AI thing is this is going to be sped up by the fact of prices going up through the roof for your computer parts. So it's like, oh, well, you don't need to buy RAM because we'll provide that for you, in a monthly cost. I think that's where I'm going with that. The kind of the success and the continual expansion of the AI, I'll call it a project for now, is what's driving this. And if it doesn't fall over, then I can't see, because, if it does, then companies are going to want to start making their money again. And that's through selling.
Well, yeah, who was the company who owns Crucial? Because obviously they shut down their commercial arm.
Micross, was it Micross?
I can't remember. But they essentially turned around, it was earlier this week, I think, and said, we're not really doing bad against consumer because we're still providing commercially because we're selling it to the people who build your laptops and we're selling it to the people. And I'm like, no, you clearly don't understand how your business model used to work, because what you would do is sell the bit they needed to upgrade, the specific bit of the thing that they wanted to upgrade to them. And now you're saying, well, I can't do that, but I can sell you a whole shiny new box with all the other parts that will cost you. And I'm like, that you don't understand the upgrade steps, do you? Clearly.
Yeah.
So it was a really flimsy nonsense answer that they gave. Like, oh no, we're not doing it to make more money. We're doing it for your benefit.
Yeah. I mean, I think we are getting there in terms of being able to do it, but also being allowed to do it, because it's a whole generation now where it's used to subscribing for everything. I mean, bloody hell, even, who'd have thought sort of 15 years ago or so that you'd have to subscribe to Microsoft Office to, It's crazy. Yeah. Everything is subscription now, and I think people are open to the idea. But
Citrix will make a bucket. That's where they want to get in the market. They'll put a Citrix link in between. So you have to log on to your home space. You can get a Citrix link into a server that Amazon rent you, and then you can jump on Steam, Dan.
And then if you think about it, companies will use that brief time for advertising space, and it'll be like Microsoft could do, this is an Xbox that comes up on the splash screen as you're doing it. So.
That was a lovely segue.
Oh,
that was a beautiful segue into my piece of news.
Oh, I haven't even seen your story. Go on.
Have we not? Oh, okay. So allegedly, I have to say that, allegedly, we are potentially getting a ad-based cloud streaming service to be announced as soon as this week. And I do wonder if it's coming as part of the Direct on Thursday, 22nd. Mm-hmm. So, apparently an ad-supported Xbox cloud gaming subscription, while not confirmed by Microsoft, is in the works. Now, this is nothing to do with Game Pass. My immediate knee-jerk reaction was, what a fucking another foot in mouth from Microsoft. But this is a completely standalone. You won't need to subscribe or do anything like that. You can literally, as long as you're happy to watch an ad, and I think it's an ad every hour or something like that, you can stream games from Microsoft. Now, whether they are, I assume it's the entire kit and caboodle. So games that you own, you'll be able to stream. And obviously, if you are subscribed to Game Pass, you'll be able to do that. But if you're subscribed to Game Pass, you get it anyway. So I don't really understand how that would work. So, I guess it's none of those things. But do we want it? Do you want it? I mean, you've essentially canned your Game Pass, right? But you still have games you could potentially play remotely. Is it something that would appeal to you?
No, not really. Not really. No, and no, the reason I say that is because the Xbox, getting that Steam Deck has changed my habits, because the Xbox, I will use the Xbox to play my Xbox games. It's sitting there, it's under the TV, it's there ready and willing. Having the ability to stream the games isn't going to make me play those games more, because for me, it's not a hassle. I'm not, I don't know what the audience is. I'm in the house, so it's no difference if I just switch Xbox on to to stream it to a device. So
it is, yeah. There's a really good. This is a Eurogamer article, by the way, and there's a really good point they raise. It's worth just calling out, and I will quote this verbatim. So it says it's also coming at an interesting time for cloud gaming in general, with the AI boom ongoing. Hardware prices have skyrocketed for consumers. This will, or perhaps already has, curbed the ability of gaming enthusiasts to buy their own machines, potentially leading to a new wave of cloud gaming services such as what Xbox is offering. While not especially great news for the consumer, there's no doubt that Microsoft has positioned itself into a leading position as far as cloud gaming is concerned, and they have spent a lot of time building up infrastructure, making sure that the speed is fast and capable. It's certainly quicker for me to jump into a cloud gaming session on Xbox than it is on the portal through Sony's, and I'm not suggesting it's measurable. It's 20, 30 seconds quicker. So they've certainly put a lot of effort into it and have positioned themselves well. And they've got a fair point, where people are being outpriced for being able to engage and do these sorts of things. Wouldn't they rather, again, move to a subscription model to do it? So very similar to what you were saying before about renting your PC. So maybe Jeff Bezos isn't, all seeing. Maybe he's just ripping off what Microsoft already did.
And look, and there will be people that's going to be a great thing for, right? For me, the key thing will be, so you said you believe it's going to be an ad every hour. It's when that
I think
starts
that's what I don't personally, but I think that's what they were essentially saying. It was probably...
It's when it starts creeping, so then they'll add another level. So the first level, it'll be an ad every half an hour or every 45 minutes. And then it will almost be like you've got more ads than game time unless you upgrade to the premium platinum edition.
Yeah, it was originally posted by Tom Warren of The Verge. So he kind of said it first. And yeah, I think I saw something in his X post. Don't say go on X, please don't. I'll do this for you. About it was probably be something like an ad every hour or so that he was talking about.
Yeah.
So 1 hour of ad supported playtime per session. Actually, the picture said. So he's clearly got an image from somewhere of it, and I'll see if I can post the image if I can grab it.
How many minutes of ads?
Well, yeah, it just says 1 hour of ad supported playtime per session. So I don't know if that's the maximum that you're allowed.
Yeah.
And then you have to pay, or whether it's just an ad every hour.
Well, that's it. How are the ads? Imagine you're playing Alan Wake 2, and Alan Wake 2 turns around and says, "Boy, I really like the taste of this crisp Coke." Yeah.
That'll be the next thing, wouldn't it? It'll be AI generated content for adverts within games.
Regional advertising. Yeah.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine Call of Duty?
Yeah. Yeah.
When they had the skins, it would be that your character will turn into a character that's advertising something to show you something as you're trying to shoot them in the face.
Yeah. Imagine if it does.
That's mad.
If it's based on your like IP and like the character turns around and says, "I'm hungry," and it's good that you've got a McDonald's or a Burger King, a 5 minute call
you've got
away.
a thirst on for a Diet Coke.
And yes, they are on Deliveroo.
Would you like to order now? It's turning into the worst version of Back to the Future.
We've got to stop giving them ideas. These are our ideas. Your trademark patent.
We'll be rehydrating pizzas next time.
There's one kind of a couple more things I was going to say. So firstly, in terms of the game that was voted most anticipated of the year, GTA 6, it's unknown if there's going to be another delay to it now because, and first off with this story, the good news is that there were no injuries, no casualties.
Agreed. Yeah.
But yeah, Rockstar has announced today that Rockstar North offices, there was a fire that went through the office following a reported boiler explosion. So it was at 5:02 a.m. this morning, which was the 19th of January. Faulty boiler caused a fire, ripped through the office. No reported casualties, and crews left the scene at 9:21 a.m.
I think they don't have enough money to give their boiler service.
So the report I've got here is it's believed the office remains shut today, though it's too early to say how this setback might impact the release of the twice delayed GTA 6. So, as we said, good news, no one's hurt, but if this is, I don't know what could cause the impact. I mean, it's not going to be like, not going to have lost any code or anything, but it's I guess how bad.
You've already seen the posts on X and stuff, haven't you?
No, what's
From
that?
the Rockstar dev team.
No, what's
Yeah. So then what people have already started doing, I know we promised no further delays, but due to the explosion at Rockstar today, we're having to delay GTA 6 again. Love the dev team. Like, the people are already on it, mate. They're already firing away.
And
It doesn't take much.
And just very quickly, last thing, couple of TV related ones. So this week, a couple of TV shows have got their leading protagonists. So the first one that was there was Lara Croft. So Sophie Turner has been cast, and there was a picture went round of her in the classic. And when I say classic, I'm talking about the original, the OG game attire. And you know,
My favourite. Well, you say OG, but people are already nitpicking. Why are the shorts black? They shouldn't be black. They should be khaki for a start. Why hasn't she got a jade necklace on? That was the other thing. My favourite comment on it was someone who said, it looks like an American teenager trying to cosplay Lara Croft. Which, I tell you what, it did.
But look, you know, it's a photo shoot, right? Isn't it? It is a photo. And
there will be images.
And let's hope it's good, because we want to support it. You know,
I do, but and look, this is, I am sure, and I think my wife wants to watch a TV show with her in it. And I'm sure Sophie Turner is a talented actress. But I cannot, for the effort that was put into Game of Thrones, particularly throughout the last couple of seasons, I just can't, you know, mind you, how much depth does Lara Croft need, I suppose, as a character is the other question. How's it going to, is it just going to be action? And so maybe she did great. I don't know, but Well, because I was going to say, as someone who's subjected himself to some awful video game movies this week, for no other reason than I fancy doing it. You're a lunatic.
Let's hope
not even doing an episode on it.
No.
Fucking monster.
And the other one, Kratos. We've got our Kratos in the Amazon God of War series, and it is Ryan Hurst, who is the voice of Thor in Ragnarok.
He is, he is. And the character actor for Thor.
And, you know,
so he does the mocap.
He's got the look for it in the picture I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in Sons of Anarchy. So he was in that
yes, of course
the TV series.
Yes.
Now, the thing about Ryan Hurst is so they put up a very specific image of him, and I'll post the specific image of him against the Kratos image. So they kind of did this dual, here's Kratos, here's him. And it's great. And you kind of go, I can see that. Then I went on and I thought, I'd just have another look at, you know, some images of him and stuff he's been in, because I can't quite picture him. I couldn't see anyone who might look less like Kratos in the rest of the images that I found. And I was just like, I'm not sure they've picked the right person. Like, but again,
that's what makeup
who knows?
And costume
prosthetics and makeup and all sorts can do wonders. So yeah, maybe. He was in Walking Dead as well. He played Beta in The Walking Dead.
So those are your leads for those respective shows. So yeah, let's wait.
Good luck to both of them, is what I say, because do not fucking let me down.
Yeah, especially with God of War for Dan, right?
Yeah, I'll be writing to Jeff Bezos because it's an Amazon production. So, you know.
You'd have to, as long as you've
made that in the cloud.
As long as you've rented your PC in the cloud to be able to contact him.
That's true. And I can do my emails correctly and not just put all the content in the subject line. We'll be right.
Right. We've gone on far too long on this. So let's kind of get stuck into the subject, right? This week.
I was just dragging my heels because I just can't bother with the subject then.
Right. Well, that's the end of the episode then. We will see you next week.
No, this is the bit I don't have to edit much of. Go for it.
No, so if you can remember back, however many sort of hours ago it was, we said we are going to talk about sort of breaches and hacks. So the one that really jumps to mind for me, because I just remember how impactful it was the 2011 PlayStation network. So do you remember this one? No, you don't remember it. So
I genuinely don't, but I did a look through your show notes and I don't remember many of these. Yeah, I'm not sure how much I engaged with stuff like if it didn't impact me directly, I was kind of like,
So the funny thing for me was at the time, I didn't have a PlayStation at the time, but I remember just, like I said, the news, how much it impacted. I can't remember if this was part of the wider Sony one or if that happened later where films got leaked and stuff.
Potentially, I guess it could have been.
But ultimately, April 2011, Sony's PSN network and Curiosity services were compromised by attackers. So the outage, and this was an outage, lasted 23 days, right? So making it one of the...
Virgin on Marks and Spencer's territory, that, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean? It's incredible. It making it one of the longest major online service shutdowns at the time. And I think even to this day, right? It's can't imagine many companies now who would probably survive that unless they are mega corporations.
Yeah.
So, what was there anything compromised? Well, Sony confirmed that attackers probably accessed 77 million accounts, right?
That'd have been mine. Mine would have been in that lot, I can guarantee it.
Yeah, and I think mine probably was. And I remember then, along with a Steam one that's coming up later, even though I wasn't using it at the time, I think I then logged in to change everything or take away personal details.
I don't think I was in heavy rotation on a PlayStation at that point, because I think it was probably between falling out of love with the 2, going into Xbox 360 and before the 3. So I probably wasn't in a place where I was that attached and wedded to my PlayStation account, which is probably why it didn't really catch me that much.
Okay.
But I do remember, now you're talking about receiving an email telling me to update credentials and details. So yeah, it would have been after this, obviously.
And now that's it. Now I'm remembering as something. So ultimately what they said, what was accessed was PSN usernames and logins, email addresses, dates of births, passwords, but apparently they were hashed at the time, but not to modern standards, and security questions and answers. And the reason why I started chuckling was because I remember at one time, and I'm wondering if it was this one, I kept getting texts saying, here's your password, or to change your password, use this verification code, like the MFA. But at the time, I wasn't requesting
because
password changes.
Someone is, and they can't change your phone number until they get into your account. So there,
And I think I also remember at the time having a username that somebody else wanted. And I think I saw someone, I can't remember, this might not have been PSN, really random here. But I saw someone complaining that because I hadn't used this name or this account for so long, they said they had the right to take it.
I love a Karen.
Yes.
I have priority because you haven't done something I'd done. Yeah. That's not how the world works.
Yeah. Sony stated that credit card numbers were not stolen, but some users' billing addresses and purchase histories were exposed. So, let's see what games you bought at the time, make sure they weren't dodgy. So how the attack happened, and this is what I find really interesting. So Sony, of course, never released technical details or wash up for this. However, investigations pointed to outdated server software, unpatched vulnerabilities, insufficient network segmentation, and a lack of encryption data for certain sensitive data. And Sony admitted the network had no firewall in place at the time of the breach, an admission that drew heavy criticism. So do you remember what we said right at the start, that everything that happens, you hope that companies learn from it? I mean, again, in our industry, that's pretty poor, right?
I'd go even further back, right to the start of the episode where they said there's no firewall in place. I mean, even every bog standard movie with a hacker in it goes, I've just got to get through the firewall.
Yeah.
But not if it's Sony. They haven't got one.
No
it's
firewall. No firewall. In 2011, so we're not talking about 95, 96, even 2000.
That's like 10 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah. It's about 24 days, isn't it? Was it a week? No, but look, unpatched vulnerabilities, we know an outdated server software.
That does happen.
It does happen, but you pair that with like the network segmentation or lack of it, and lack of encryption, and then don't even put a firewall around it. And
their admin password being admin. It's just all kinds of wrong. Maybe it was password with an @ sign and 2 5s. Maybe that was that.
But the thing is for me as well, is at the time, it's not like Sony were a startup company either,
Well, that would have made things much better. It's not like they're a startup.
No, but it's not like they're a startup and struggling, with funding. And it's not like they're not in the tech industry either, which is really, it is, I guess.
Well, they were making laptops, they were making phones, they were, at this time they still make. But it is.
It's complacency, right?
Well, it's what we said about it's only when these things happen that people sit up and take notice that they've happened.
Yeah.
I worked for a company once that had a ransomware attack. Luckily recovered very quickly, but they weren't really doing anything about security until that thing happened, and then suddenly wanted to pour loads of money and time into beefing up the security. So it's a fairly common thing, I think. But you're right, the scale and the size of the company is clearly going to have an impact. So
yeah. I think what it is as a consumer, you expect, I think, and yeah, I think that's fair. You expect tech companies like this who are handling your data and who are in the business of, like we said, technology, to be handling things better, right? That I think that's a perception. Sorry, that you're signing up to something and it's fine because my data's safe. I think nowadays we're a lot more savvy and think, are they? And do you use a different email address? You look for the little padlock and the little.
Totally, there is an education piece here. People are now, I think, more familiar, although it's still happening. People are still getting ripped off, still getting scammed. Scammers are getting far better at phishing, and it's very cyclical, this world. And like I said, they will always find new and inventive ways to get at your data, at what they need. Whether it's the number of bloody dodgy phone calls I get these days. I'm just grateful for those services that screen them and stop them from happening, because it's horrendous.
And I think that's the thing, isn't it? I think the home user now is more, because antivirus software, firewall, etc., is pretty much built into computers now, isn't it? So it's about catching you off guard, isn't it, rather than being a poor system. But and also we've got to say, so there was no group specifically were credited, I think is right.
No one owned up to it.
Yeah. But I guess the amount of attacks that these companies also probably are subject to and don't fall foul of, I guess that's the hidden good news in these sort of things. We never know. You only see the bad one, obviously, because of what it does, but we don't know how much they fended off. Now, the other thing was, so Sony were initially criticised. So what did they do? So they shut down the PSN. So this was the big one, because you imagine you've got, it's April, right? So it's not like it's Christmas, but you get your shiny new PlayStation, and then you can't go online for 23 days.
Yeah, you have got. Yeah, April's the start of the ramp up of kind of in summer, and some more exciting releases. So
and you've got Easter, where a lot of kids are going to be off school as well.
Yeah.
So it was shut down 23 days. They were criticised because they didn't disclose this till a week later. Now we still see this days, right? Some companies, there was a big one, a parcel one a couple of years ago. I think they didn't say anything. And I remember looking on Twitter and all their users were saying, why can't I use your tracker? It was because there was a cyber attack. Forced password resets for all users. And obviously they had a security overhaul, including firewalls.
I think it's more telling that they decided to get a CISO role in. We do need a chief information security. We do need someone who knows what the fuck they're doing with security. Let's get one of those in. It's like hiring a security guard after the bank's been robbed.
It's incredible, isn't it? But and again, in companies, cybersecurity and security is a massive thing now. So
huge. Millions and billions spent on it every year.
Yeah, we definitely learned. So what else did they do? And this is one I remembered, but I didn't take advantage of it because I didn't have a PlayStation at the time. But they offered a welcome back program. Now, it was free PS3 and PSP games. Now, it was a selection. It's not like you could just go in and pick GTA. It feels like it would have been GTA 5 because that's been around for like 60 years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
A free PlayStation Plus subscription and identity theft protection in some regions, which it feels weird for a company to give away, but I'm wondering if that's
all horse bolted.
Yeah. Probably showing to be doing the right thing, So, they gave away free PlayStation Plus subscription and games. So what did it cost them? So the estimation is that it cost Sony $170 to $200 million. So that's for 23 days.
No ring of death though, is it, Dan?
No. There was also a number of multiple class action lawsuits, because who doesn't love a class action lawsuit, right?
I love them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a
Well, not just one, multiple.
yeah, there was a Canadian lawsuit against Sony USA, Sony Canada, and Sony Japan, claimed damages of up to 1 billion Canadian dollars. The plaintiff was quoted as saying, "If you can't trust a huge multinational corporation like Sony to protect your private information, who can you trust? It appears to me Sony focuses more on protecting its games than its PlayStation users." Well, probably early on, most companies, we were saying it's probably were, right?
They were, definitely. Probably still are.
Yeah. And in 2012, a California judge dismissed a lawsuit against Sony, saying that there is no such thing as perfect security. And that's true as well, right? But it's like saying you didn't have a front door.
It's fine that you got robbed.
Yeah. You couldn't
It's
have
your fault.
You couldn't have foreseen that. Even if you've had a door, they could have broken it down. Well, at least they would have had to have broken it down.
Outdated
Right?
server software, unpatched vulnerabilities, no network segmentation, and lack of encryption. Oh, and just to top it off, no firewall. But there's no such thing as perfect security, Dan.
Couldn't have been helped.
Yeah.
So, and
You might as well have fucking handed the guy the keys. There you go. Do you want the passwords as well?
and
Oh my God.
look, and just to sum it up, so what I've said here, why it matters, and it became a case study. We've said in cybersecurity failures, so we've already said it before. Poor security measures, how important it is to get the information out to the public. I think it's especially true nowadays on social media, where people will be damaging your brand online ultimately.
Yeah.
If you don't. And how this is a really interesting one, how gaming platforms have evolved basically into repositories of personal data, right? If you think about it,
All of it's there.
like sign up for an EA account, sign up for a Square Enix account, to play Baldur's Gate, I had to set up a Larian account.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, some of these, particularly in the UK now, with you having to register as an adult to subscribe to some of these services, they'll have a certain amount of biometric data as well, even if it's just a picture of your face. So,
Oh God! And do you remember when? Well, you wouldn't have played FIFA games, but you used to upload your face to put your face on a footballer.
I remember EA Sports used to do it in the golf games as well.
Oh yeah, the golf games.
Far more fast-paced and action-orientated.
Back in the day, where we just uploaded our personal details. Yeah, here you go, EA. Take my face. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Right, so that was Sony one, and look, if you're listening and you were affected by that at the time, or you had memories, or if you got free games,
If you had memories.
yeah, memories
If you
of
have
it.
memories.
If you have memories of it and what free game you got, let us know. Rockstar Games, they feature. So this was 2022, so that was 4 years ago, right, Dan?
4 years ago, yeah, by my math.
Do you remember this one?
I do remember vaguely something about Half-Life, I've got it on the brain, about Rockstar being hacked, yeah.
No, they weren't robbing Rockstar to see if they've got details on Half-Life 3, right?
Have they not?
No. So this was
Probably
in 2020. This is in 2022, and I think this is kind of more what we see nowadays, attacking specific companies like we saw with Ubisoft and Rainbow Six Siege. Now, this was carried out by an 18-year-old Brit chap. Now, his name was called Arian Kurtage from Oxford, who was autistic. Now, the only reason I mention that is because it has a point later on in the story. So
Are these the ones who tried to deport him to the US to get?
No,
Is that one, or was that someone else?
No, I think that was someone else. I think that was someone who actually went against the government agency, I think, in that one.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, which
Happens to the best of us.
That you're really sort of playing with fire there. But he was this Arian was a member of an international gang called Lapsus $. The gangs focused attacks on tech giants, and they also went after Uber, Nvidia, and Rockstar Games, and it cost these firms nearly $10 million. So in 2022, September Rockstar publicly confirmed it had suffered an intrusion in which a third party accessed its internal systems and downloaded confidential information. most notably, and this is 4 years ago, most notably early development footage for Grand Theft Auto 6. And we're still just getting early development footage, aren't we?
Grand Theft Auto 6. Not familiar with that. Is that a new one? Or are they bringing that out, Dan?
It won't be popular.
Not this year.
Yeah. The announcement came shortly after dozens of videos appeared online showing unfinished GTA 6 gameplay that had leaked to the public. Now, the hacker released or claimed to have obtained a number of materials, including 90 videos showing early GTA 6 builds, source code assets for GTA 6, internal communications and wiki data. Now, how did the hacker get in? And I always find this is the interesting stuff. So details from analysts report that the attacker gained access through compromised internal collaboration tools. So we're not looking at no firewalls or outdated software. They got in through Slack and Confluence or applications like that. So exploiting employee accounts.
This is the biggest gap for many companies now is behavioural. It's making sure that your colleagues, staff, people are aware of, we talk about phishing and those sorts of things. It's being aware of the routes that hackers will take to do this. And this is suspected because, again, it hasn't come out. So the big co-op M&S, those hacks that took place last year now, I think, were all down to this type of vector as well, which is essentially people coming in and, spoofing and pretending to be a member of the team and getting access through that. We'll go, oh, can you just set me up with this account and that? And then they just walk in, just strolling. There you go. No problem.
Yeah. And like you said, yeah, you could have the most high-tech security in the world, but if your weakest point is weak passwords or sloppy security,
people.
Yeah.
People's the biggest gap. Yes.
You have to come up with companies where you're providing a service to make sure people were calling up, pretending to be our company to the stores to say, "Oh, I'm calling from such and such. We want to come see the system. Can you let us in tonight?"
How many people here would work at, watching this, work at a company that has security access, whether it's a barrier or a swipe for a door or whatever? And how many times in a day have you held the door open for someone, not even knowing who they are, not checking if they've got who could just essentially wander in the minute they're in and able to access a LAN port into your network, right? And if your security isn't up to snuff, they've got access, they're in.
Yeah.
And it's all right. There's a bit of an extreme example, but it happens.
Yeah.
And security consultancies will come in and do this sort of stuff and they'll go, well, you won't know. You just let someone wander in.
Yeah.
It's mad, mate. Mad.
Yeah. So, collaboration tools like Slack and Confluence. And if you think about it, for a while, especially during COVID, right, everything like Slack is, I've never used it, but that's quite big in the dev world, isn't it?
Searchable log of all contact and knowledge, I think it stands for. So it's basically, it's designed to store everything that is, searchable log of all communication and knowledge. So it stores everything. So once you've got the keys to that, or even someone setting you up, you can essentially trawl through lots of stuff and find out whatever you want. And Confluence is obviously, the Elysium tool for Mr. Giant Wikipedia for devs.
Yeah. Yeah,
so.
and most of these now, we've got apps on your phone. So if you lose your phone and your phone can get sort of hacked into, or not even hacked into, but if you haven't got good security on your phone, then it's a real fascinating area of security, right? That there
are some bad guys out there, Dan.
Yeah, we've criticised Sony for not having a firewall, but you can only do so much. There's no such thing as perfect security, right?
There's no such thing as perfect security, but at least it did give Rockstar another excuse to delay GTA 6. So we got that to be thankful for.
Well, what they first did was obviously they issued DMCA takedown notices to sites and social platforms.
Well done.
Hosting leaked footage. So obviously then confirming that footage was real. You'd probably embrace it and take the free advertising in that sense, right?
And not if you're Rockstar. I don't think they could do much better on their advertising at the moment, the way they're going.
Yeah. So, why this sort of breach mattered? Well, scale and visibility. So leaked media and alleged source code offered players and developers an unofficial insight into an anticipated game long before official reveals, and very long before official reveals. What we've said about sort of security concerns for source codes of collaboration tools. I guess this is the important thing. It's intellectual property risk, right? And we know in these companies that is everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
And reputation is also everything. So we know shareholders very keen. They want to make sure they get the biggest bang for their buck, don't they? And things like this.
Well, they don't want 200 million being wasted on frivolous security stuff, mate. They'd rather in the bank account, right?
Yeah. And yeah, so what was the sort of the after effects and the effects of this? So there was no confirmed direct impact on GTA 6's development timeline. That was everything else that did that. And the company downplayed potential disruptions publicly.
You cannot impact a never-ending timeline. You can't impact. Do you know what I mean? It's not fucking Marvel just jumping in at a certain point to correct the timeline. Like, it's never ending. GTA 6 is not coming out.
I don't think it worsened it. No, definitely. It might have made it come out a bit quicker. The financial costs. So Rockstar Games reported that the hack cost the company approximately $5 million. Now, this isn't anything... So it's not like they lost it because of the hack or compensation, but it refers to costs like the investigation of the hack, remediation, legal actions, and recovery work, rather than estimates of lost revenue or long-term development disruption. So it was all about...
It's been so long since they released a fucking game.
Yeah.
There's nothing to lose.
Yeah, the legal outcomes. So Arian was caught, and because... excuse me... Because of his severe autism, that's what I was mentioning earlier, he was deemed unfit to stand trial. So a jury determined if he committed the acts. A jury determined if he committed the acts, not if he did so with criminal intent. Right. So he was sentenced to an indefinite hospital order because he was considered a high risk to the public and expressed intent to return to cybercrime. Another 17-year-old was also convicted in his involvement and given a youth rehabilitation order. Yeah, so, I mean, I've said it already, we get so many of these happen. And, this, I guess, the thing about this is in the Sony one, no one came forward. But here it shows an organised gang that were targeting a number of corporations.
Yeah, which is the more common way of doing it, having a bunch of people who, with green screens and hoodies, who are all trying to hack into something, breach the firewall. I've breached the firewall.
Yeah, tap, 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 tap. The thing about this one is I was thinking about this. Do you think ones like this almost get a free pass from the public? Because if they get sight of a game that's coming out, or they want to, or a company's been quite secretive about it, do you think sometimes it's deemed not as serious?
Well, yeah, potentially, because it's funny. I'm just been flicking through your notes, and the one you've missed off of here is one of the most infamous, and there's that documents you've made about it, etc. And that was the hack that was performed back in 2003 on Valve and stole the entire Half-Life source code.
That's right, yeah, because I've got Steam in 2011.
Yeah, Axel Gembe, who was, so that, and again, but you're asking a similar question, do they get a free pass? I mean, didn't get a free pass clearly, but became almost like a folk hero because he released something that people were very much anticipating coming out, and Valve had to do a lot of work to rebuild the trust with their community and everything else. But the community also going, well, it's pretty much a finished game, right? I can have that. It's, I think you're probably right. I think that you kind of do. If it happened now and, with someone like Rockstar, and then they went, I mean, this is only a few years ago, but then they turned around and went, we've had to delay GTA 6 because of it. I don't think they would get a free pass. Yeah. I think they get hauled.
I just think
undrawn and quartered.
Because this one, like one I'll mention later, none of the public weren't impacted, so no service was taken down. That they didn't lose any details. This is perceived as a company. I just wonder if and like if it. I mean, this was what did I say? It was 2022, didn't I? Mm. So obviously social media was the thing there, but nowadays it just constantly, it'd be retweeted quicker than Rockstar could realise it's probably it's happened, so it would be all over the place.
It'll be all over the place, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay, so that was Rockstar. It's funny you mentioned Valve because the next one I've got here is Steam. So in 2011, Steam itself got hacked. So where was it? So initially, and again, this reminds me of what I was saying about the Rainbow Six one. So this looked like forum defacement, but was found later to go deeper into the system. So Valve discovered intruders had accessed a back-end Steam database in addition to the forums. So what data was involved? So good old Gabe comes out and sort of messaged users, say the breach database contained usernames, hashed and sorted passwords, so meaning they were stored in encrypted form, not plain text. So that was something. Again, game purchase history, email address, billing addresses, and encrypted credit card information. So Valve said at the time it didn't have evidence that credit card numbers or other sensitive data were actually taken or the encryption had been broken, and there were no confirmed reports of fraud. So again, Valve took forums offline temporarily, required all forum users to change their password when they next logged in, which is sensible. For users who reused the same password on both the forums and their main Steam account, Valve recommended updating those passwords too. I mean,
Oh shit, Sherlock.
Yeah. And users were advised to monitor their credit card statements and account activity. Now, how serious was it? So there was no major service outage. Valve did not disclose the user count, and there was no compromise of data. But again, I think for me, it's a question of how it happened. So how did it happen? Again, it's a company that never released a full wash up of what happened, but based on what they did disclose, it was believed to be a mix of architecture choices, attack surface, and typical security gaps of the time. So the forums were the weak entry point. They were a public-facing web application. Software in 2011 was stuff like SQL injection, so it was a common attack target. Attackers likely exploited the web app vulnerability, and once inside the system, that's it. The attackers were able to get deeper. So I think for me, again, it's because forums, especially at the time, was such a big thing, and they are now, right? That again,
there's the main ones that people are familiar with. Yeah.
Yes, we've looked at Sony initially, bad Sony, bad security. Then you've got like a Rockstar where it's gone in via the collaboration tools.
Yeah.
And now this is forums, so web application software, a bit that nobody probably thinks about. It's just a sideshow to the main event, and it's compromised.
Probably had a firewall though.
yeah.
I mean, you think they might have learned their lesson after the Half-Life 2 incident?
Yeah,
because it wasn't exactly the same, the point of egress, but it wasn't too dissimilar, and it certainly involved some blank passwords and some password cracking to get into the system. But once, again, the guy's own words, once he was in there, he had the keys to the kingdom. Mm-hmm. Like once he was there, he could do anything, and he pulled, like I said, entire game files from them. So, there's a fantastic article, by the way, if you haven't seen it, go and read it on Eurogamer. I'll try and put a link in the comments, but it's a brilliant article about what he did in the interview, the actual chap himself, and how he gained ingress into the system and what he was able to do while he was there. And, it was just a similar point of ingress as this, like I said. So, you think they'd learned the lesson, or they did, but just not for the forums.
Yeah. It's very isolated. And going back to what was said at the start, people learn from these things. So in 2011, clearly standards were different, but now, again, if anyone who's working in tech, penetration testing was a lot less common. Yeah. Firewalls, web application firewalls weren't standard. Attack detection was a lot slower, meaning that attackers had more time to play about in systems when it got in. And this is the interesting one. Lateral movement was possible, which now is a lot more isolation of systems, isn't it? So you're trying
segregation of networking. Things like that. You can't do that as easily.
So the thing about Steam is also, so they're always subject to DDoS attacks, aren't they? So I think they had another one at Christmas that bring them down. And look, that's going to happen. But it's just, again, when you start reading off that list, so it was email addresses, billing addresses, purchase histories, and credit card information. It just kind of just fills you with a bit of dread, doesn't it?
But these things are more commonly used for profiling than they are for, actual exploitation. Because you can't, there's not a lot you can get there, particularly if you've got hash and encrypted credit card information, things like that. So, they're more used for kind of profiling users to understand their types of behavior so you can attack them slightly differently. I.e., you got a game purchase history, you can email someone pretending to be from someone about a specific game. Well, how would you know that? You must be from that company. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of behavior rather than direct extraction and using that. Or like you say, if you've got MFA enabled, and like you were seeing, phone numbers keep asking for your, the text keep asking for your password or your one-time code. It's things like that. So yeah, I mean, naughty Valve, not as naughty as Sony, basically.
I guess like you said, they just maybe hadn't learned. The victim of also the standards not necessarily being great, but also these things. Maybe, it takes a couple of these for other companies. Like I said, maybe other companies haven't been affected because of the Valves, because of the Sonys. And so it's just a matter of luck, right? It's
totally.
And that's what I was going to say. And I guess that the fear is because nowadays, data is sort of stolen, compromised, and then just dumped on the dark web, isn't it? So it's more, I guess, if you've got...
You can buy buckets of it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. If you use the same username, etc., I guess that's where the risk is because, Valve probably encrypted the cards, but maybe another company where you've used it elsewhere haven't,
Oh, it's passwords as well. I read a brilliant article the other day that was saying, we spent years learning how to make passwords hard to remember, but easy for computers to break.
Yeah.
Which is what we've done as humanity. Well, actually, the best form of password you can actually have is a 3-word combined phrase that is something that you will remember, whether mnemonically or whatever, that would be very difficult for anyone to guess because it's not a date of birth. It's not something that's valuable to you. It's not one of your kids' names. It's not, or it's not a blend of those things with characters instead of letters, which is what we've done.
Yeah.
And then worse, we don't just do that once. We use that same thing because it's the only thing we can remember on every single thing that we do.
Well, sorry.
No, I was just saying, it's why the advent of the, password lockers and, those things like you have with Apple on your phone or with Chrome or with, where they'll remember them and they're stored securely and encrypted on your phone that no one else can access them without biometrics or whatever is a great, that I do all of mine through that now. I just have everything and I sync them so that if I've got it in Chrome or in Apple, they're synced so that no matter what I do, I go onto it and I just go, I want to use that password that I know will work or I'll go and change it.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say, because they made, at one point, the requirements for password get so complex that you probably found people were writing them down.
I mean, sometimes they're so complex that the actual, when it says, do you want to use a strong password? Yeah. Like when you select that and it goes, sorry, it doesn't meet the requirements. You go, well, hang on a minute. You think that Apple's password requirements aren't as strong as what you need? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm sure at one place I went to, they then decided it used to be you'd have to change your password every month. Then they changed it to maybe, if it wasn't indefinite, like 90 days, because they were saying there's more likely, the more frequently you are to change your password, the more likely you are to make a note of it, which means it makes it that password then, it's not safe then. So
ours is every 90 days at work. Drives me absolutely insane, but I understand why it's done. Because I forget. I genuinely forget, particularly if I've just gone on holiday after it's made me change it. I'm like, I come back to work and I'm like, I don't know what my password is now.
The worst one always is when it asks you to change it on a Friday. So you change it on a Friday afternoon, then it's a Monday because you've had a weekend in between. Right?
Exactly. But do you not just write it down on a post-it note then? And carry it around with you.
Stick it to the monitor.
Stick it to your monitor underneath the username. You don't do that.
This is not the password.
just password.
Yeah, it's just a random word with a number and an exclamation mark. Yeah. Oh, the whole thing about security, I find it fascinating.
But it's not just us that are guilty of it. This is the point, right? It's the big corporations and the people you trust to look after that data or that thing. And they clearly can't. They can't even look after it for themselves.
Yeah. And again, I think I'll go back to what I was saying, that the average user is probably now a lot more savvy and a lot more cautious. I mean, I think people probably go more the other way, distrust everything, every phone call they get, every text.
I say this to my kids about security and things like that, not internet security, but just being safe in general. And I said, I liken it to driving. I think if you drive like everyone else on the road is an asshole, you're probably less likely to crash. So I try and, don't treat everyone as a potential criminal, but just have that hyper awareness that any situation can turn negative.
Yeah.
So be aware. Don't make it bad or, not positive, but just be aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm just going to do one more. So look, and as you said, look, there are tons of these big ones, and I just wanted to pick a handful because otherwise we could be here all night. But
we would be.
And I thought I'd go around, so it's be fair. So the only one that didn't appear on here was Microsoft, but I've got Nintendo now. So we've had Sony.
But Microsoft have done so many worse things than be hacked, mate.
Yeah, they get enough criticism in the press.
Are you giving them a pass today?
No, didn't we? We had to go at them earlier, didn't we? I think. Sorry, we were constructively discussing a story.
Adverts.
Yeah. Nintendo had in 2020 and 2024 a Giga Leak and a Terra Leak, which sounds
both
awkward. Yeah. So the Giga Leak, the one in 2020, was one of the largest releases of internal Nintendo data ever seen. So again, look, we're talking about at least if it makes it better that the end consumer not affected. So it didn't come from any official announcement, but from anonymous users uploading materials to websites and forums. So what was leaked? So it, as I said, it was a massive set of internal files, including source code. So this is source code for consoles. So the N64, the GameCube and the Wii. Prototypes and debugging assets for early games, internal tools and development repositories, ROMs, unused graphics and prototypes for many titles, and early builds and cut content for games such as several Pokemon titles and various Nintendo classics. Now, this has reminded me, one of the actual stories that kicked me into doing this, I haven't actually included, and that was a story I said to you a little while ago. So do you remember, was it the PS5 firmware?
Yes.
That's been leaked,
they're
hasn't
very
it?
close to cracking, to being able to crack the PS5 firmware.
So basically that then means that, and Sony can't fix that, can they? It's not.
No, but there's one that's related to this, just on a complete sidebar. So copies of a specific game, and it was a Star Wars racer related game, I think, were going for thousands of pounds because it was a very rare game to start with, but it was the only way that you could potentially hack the PS3, was it? Or PS4? So, It was one of them. Yeah. And it was the only one that had a backdoor that had been retained. And this was very recent. This was only in the last couple of weeks. But again, it was just funny because that game was going for thousands of pounds. It was a shit game. Yeah. But it was going for extortionate amounts of money because it had a backdoor into the firmware of I think it was the PS3. I'll have to have a look, but I thought it was very funny. I mean, it shouldn't be funny, but it was very funny.
But it's incredible, isn't it? Kind of what is or isn't possible. Now, it's sort of stemmed from older breaches of Nintendo infrastructure and possibly third-party development systems with some links to prior intrusions dating back to 2018. So, as is the story here, Nintendo didn't formally comment on this at the time, but the scale and depth of the material raised concerns in both preservationists and cybersecurity communities. Now, we kind of said last week that preservation is a massive thing. So do we think something like this could help? I mean, look, the thing is, Nintendo aren't a bust company. It's not like they've gone and they've taken everything with them. But the thing for me is they leaked the source code for those consoles. Now, a lot of stuff is obviously known, but I guess the horrible thing here is that a lot of that is a massively guarded secret for companies, isn't it? You know, sort of some of the little tips and tricks that they can do to eke things out. And we don't necessarily see, but, you know, I said myself, the end consumer wasn't hurt, but ultimately this damages the parent company, right? And potentially what we then get as a consumer.
Yeah, and it will ultimately, you know, could potentially lead to delays in releases, whether that's software or hardware or anything like that, because, you know, they've got to patch those holes. The things that people do find, they'll start commenting on and say, oh, I don't like this. That will get out into the public domain, you know, so they'll be getting early feedback on something that they potentially didn't want early feedback on, and then they might have to tweak or change designs. Yeah, so it's it's fucking, yeah. I mean, I try not to pay too much attention to it when these things happen, because quite often they're about things I'm not that interested in. But when they are, I'm like, do I want that? Weirdly, I don't mind movies being spoiled, but when it comes to games, I'm kind of like, I don't really want that story spoiled or that thing spoiled. Yeah. Just on that article, that Revenge Racer, the Star Wars one was, or Racer Revenge, what it was to do with the backdoor to the PS5, because it was a back compat PS4 game, Racer's Revenge, that was Star Wars Racer's Revenge that was going, but it was to do with the hack to the PS5, because it was one of the remaining few ways to get into jailbreak the PS5. So yeah, it was that
was the whole reason made me do this. On a side note, I love stuff like that. Do you remember back in the day where you got demo discs on magazines? Yeah. Wasn't there one, I think it was for the PlayStation, where the company put the whole game on the disc, but they then just thought they could lock it off to the first... You
could lock it off with just one bit, and then you could access the entire game.
But people worked out how to get around it, and so they gave the whole game away on the disc. I'll have to look into that. I'll have to look into that. You know, and then you had 24/25. It was all about Pokemon. So you had the Terra Leak related incident.
Is that a Pokemon? Terra Leak?
Yeah, possibly. I don't know.
I'll ask my daughter. Is Terra Leak a Pokemon? Is he a grass type?
If Frosty is listening, I know he's a massive Pokemon.
Oh, he might know.
Expert.
Is Terra Leak a grass type?
All I know is Squirtle.
Water.
Pikachu.
Electric.
That's. Oh, is he electric? Is he? I don't know. You see, Pokemon is.
That's how you get Pikachu on a bus, don't you? Pokemon. I'm gonna stop
lots
now.
of people have turned off the podcast.
Get my coat. Come in for the dad jokes, for fuck's sake, all right?
Look, do you know what? I almost, because I don't really know. Yeah, because I don't really know Pokemon that much. But yeah,
don't worry.
So yeah, they had a major breach connected with Pokemon Legends, referred to as the Terra Leak. So there was, again, it was concept art and designs, early builds and internal developments, alleged references to future Pokemon games, laws and assets, and source code disclosure. Now, there was at least 70 plus gig of information leaked. Nintendo sought to...
What's it called, the Terra Leak then? Because that would imply that there were terabytes
that was
of
later.
information.
Sorry, in 2025 there was a 70 plus.
Right.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. I'm hoping it was still terabytes of information.
Yeah,
it just makes it sound worse than it is.
It
Giga
really
leak.
Is. Yeah.
It could have been 2 gig.
Nintendo sought to compel Discord to hand over identifying information about the leaker behind a Terra Leak, naming a user in a Discord server where materials were posted. And I guess the thing is, it for the wider industry, it showed, and we'll go back to like the Rockstar one. I guess what I'm saying is their their IP, their knowledge, their experience is everything, right? Isn't it?
Mm.
And that's the thing. And ultimately, we say like we're not affected by it, but chances are we will be. Whether it's and I know this is going to sound stupid, but like, whether it's a share price being affected, because, shareholders, they can do crazy things when things don't start going their way, through to, like you said, even down to the simple one of spoilers, online.
Having worked, and having worked in retail for best part of 30 years, you very quickly realise that any cost to a company is always, in some way, shape or form, passed on to the consumer. So wherever your output is going, because you have to grow your margin, right? It's the only bit of money that you scrape, from a product that you've created or sold on. So you have to make that somewhere. And ultimately, if the costs going out aren't as much as the money you're making coming in, you have to do something about that. So you're either going to cut those costs, which we see in terms of laying off employees or doing blah, 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 blah. But if you're having to spend more anyway because your security is lax, poor, and you've got to beef it up, where's that money? It's not down the back of the fucking sofa. I'm telling you that, so you're going to get it somewhere. So you're going to see price rises. You're going to see layoffs. You're going to see AI, all of these things they're going to try and do. And I'm talking broadly about the entire consumer market, but particularly in video games, it's going to get passed on somewhere. So you are going to see it. And then we sit there scratching our heads going, why are they talking about $80 games?
Yeah.
It's not just because as they will mislead and tell you, oh yeah, but they cost millions of pounds and take years to develop now. I'm sure they do. I have no doubt about that. And I'm sure, 10% of those games coming out will be absolute masterpieces and brilliant. Maybe not 10%, but, but those costs that are layered on top of those things are coming from somewhere. And they are from things like this. That 200 million that Sony spent on, their security breach, or the, $750 million that Microsoft spent on the Red Ring of Death. You don't think they just went, yeah, we've just, we've written that off. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It always lands somewhere, and it's us mugs that end up paying for it.
Yeah. Well, look, I think I'm going to end that there on that one. So, like I said, a slightly sort of different topic, normal, but
Dan's slagging people off. We'll end that there, Dan. I'll be back on my own next week.
No, because it was going to be like the Rainbow Six Siege one, but we've spoken about that, and that's a fairly current one. So I think people are okay with that, and that's what I was going to say. Slightly different. Not
people are okay with that, particularly the people who got a bunch of free shit out of it.
I bet people are okay with us not telling them about that one.
Oh, because go watch last week's episode.
I hope, like I said, it's a slightly different topic, but it's in and around gaming, and all these things have an impact on us, whether it's the company's improving, like we said, we hope, or whether there is a knock-on effect as a end consumer because of a leak, or like you said, having to fund something. But I think that's all I was going to say. Dan, anything else from you?
I was just going to say, Terra Leak is the thing I have when I get back after misjudging whether I need to go to the toilet after I leave work. Like, before I leave work, do I need to go? Because of my age and my bladder, Terra Leak is what I have when I get home. Because I'm opening that front door wondering if I'm literally going to
It's always that thing, isn't it? Is the train going to be delayed? Is it going to be a stoppage? It's that risk P, isn't it?
The train toilet's going to work if I need a piss.
Oh, sorry, use a train one. Not going to use a train one. Right. For more toilet habits, join us next week. No, look.
Gaming poos.
Yeah. Gaming loos.
There's so many.
Right. Yeah, so like I said, we'll do a bit of housekeeping again at the end, just to make up for me not saying it earlier. Hopefully you've liked this. Even if you didn't, press like and subscribe.
Fuck it, yeah. You can always unsubscribe. Don't unsubscribe.
Yeah, no. Catch us next week for another episode of this. Dan, anything else from you?
No, I was just going to say goodbye, but no, wonderful. Catch us next week for another episode of Game Reviews.